So you're ready to go out house shopping, you're pumped, you're excited, and then you get to the house and you realize you absolutely have no idea what you're looking for. In today's video, we're going to be talking about what things you need to be looking for when you're out doing showings or at open houses so you have a better idea of what you're getting yourself into. If you don't already know me yet, my name is Lola. I'm your favorite realtor and I'm a licensed realtor in the state of Minnesota. My job is to make sure that home buyers, home sellers, and homeowners are making smart financial decisions throughout their home buying, home owning, and home selling careers. With that said, let's go ahead and get into it. So we're going to break this video up into two parts. The first part is going to be what you actually need to look for before you physically look at the property, because what a lot of people don't realize is that the looking at homes part starts when you're on your computer, when you're on your phone looking at those photos and those homes on MLS and Zillow, whatever website you're looking on. And that process starts there. And the second part is going to be what you actually need to be looking for once you're actually at the property. So before you even think about looking, you should have already made a wants, needs, and deal breakers list. And if you haven't done that, pause this video because this list is so crucial to your home search. So make a wants, needs, and deals breakers list and make sure that you prioritize all of those things on there, but also make sure that you're being realistic. Some of those things might change later on as you continue to look at homes. You might refine your search. You might hone in on some things a little bit more than you thought you would. So be realistic, but also know that that list isn't set in stone. It's just a guide for you to use. So once you've done that, the first thing you want to do is look at the actual information being provided to you on MLS, on Zillow, whatever you're looking at. Look at that actual information. Look at the size of the bedrooms. Is it too small? And if you're not quite sure, what I would start by doing is measuring the actual room that you currently have. Is it the same? Is it smaller? Is it bigger? Does it meet your needs? You'll also want to look at where the bedrooms are located. Is it located on the upper level, lower level, main level? So look at those things, because if you have kids and you want all of your kids on the same level, let's say you need 3 bedrooms on one level and there's 1 upstairs and 2 downstairs, how are you going to manage that? Is that the right house for you? Should you waste your time going to even see it, knowing that that layout is not going to work? Do you need central air conditioning? Does that house have central air conditioning? Does it have a wall unit? Is that a deal breaker for you? So the listing information is a great place to start when you are pre-qualifying a house. Now, the second thing I want you to do before you go out and look at a property physically is I want you to pull out your Google Maps. First, you're going to start with the default setting. The default setting will give you a general idea of what that area looks like and where your house is located. Let's say the house is on a corner lot. Is that on your deal breakers list? Is it on a main road? Is that on your deal breakers list? It's 2 blocks from a hospital. Is that going to be okay for you? Street view. Street view is incredibly important because it's going to show you the things that you can't necessarily see through photos and you can't necessarily see from an aerial view. It's going to show you proximity of the neighbors. How close are they really to you? It's going to show you what does that neighborhood look like? What does the exterior of that house really look like without all the great lighting and the photos and all that jazz to spruce it up a little bit? Now, next, I want you to really hone in on the photos you're seeing for that listing. Now, I have been catfished, even myself. It doesn't matter how many homes I've seen. I've even been catfished looking at photos and then going in and realizing that it's not in as good condition as it looked. So the condition will be really hard to tell sometimes via photos. However, what I want you to focus on more is kind of the exterior of the home. My clients won't pay enough attention to that, and then they'll go out and look at it and realize that the side of the yard is sloped very steeply, or it has this weird dip and it comes back up. Whatever the case is, make sure that you're paying attention to those things, because again, if it's going to be a deal breaker for you already, there's no use in wasting your time going out and seeing the property, especially depending on how far it is from where you currently are. So those are all the things that you want to look for when you're pre-qualifying the home before you go out and physically look at it. Now we're going to talk about the things that you need to actually look for when you're inside the home. Now, keep in mind that not all of these things are going to be huge things that you need to look for. A lot of these things that I'm talking about are either maintenance or preventative things to make sure that you have an idea of what you're getting yourself into and how much work you're going to have to put into the house to make sure that it continues to stay in good condition. Also keep in mind that I'm no inspector, okay? These are just some of the things that I've picked up after attending hundreds of inspections. You should not take this advice in lieu of an inspection. Get one. So when you get to the house, I would start by looking at the exterior. And what I typically recommend is to do showings while there's daylight out. Even if you've got a really good flashlight, it's very easy to miss some things on the exterior of the home. So some of the things that you'll want to look at. Start out by looking at gutters. First of all, are there gutters on the home? And if there are, do those gutter extensions come 6 to 8 feet away from the property, or do they pour right into the foundation? And this is important because if your gutter is coming straight down, this is your house and this is your foundation, it's coming straight down into your foundation, that can lead to moisture issues, it can lead to water intrusion. So looking at those things and looking whether or not that extension is coming out. You want to look at overhanging trees. Are there large trees that go over the roof of your home? Are they going to need to be removed? How big are those branches? How much damage could they potentially cause to your home? You also want to look at siding. Is there any missing siding? If it's wood or some other type of lower end material, is it rotting? You want to look at windows. Are there any missing screens? Are there any cracked windows? You'll want to look at deck structure. A lot of people forget to do that. I always do the pull test when I go out to showings. Grab the railing, grab the sides of the deck, and really pull on them to see if they wiggle or give. And then you'll also want to look at the driveway. Is it cracked? How is the driveway leveled to the garage? Is there a gap between the garage and the driveway where water could seep through and get into your foundation? So that is some of the stuff that you'll want to look at when you're on the exterior of the home. Now let's talk about the interior. Caulking. Caulking is that seal around things like sinks, bathtubs, sometimes around ovens and countertops. And caulking prevents moisture, water, substances from getting behind those things and into the actual material and damaging the material. So is that caulk missing? Is it molding? Was it applied correctly? Look at all of the ceilings to see if there are any water stains. Is there something on the upper floor that's indicating that there could be a leak through the roof? Is there something on the lower floor? Maybe there was a bathroom leak and it ended up seeping into the basement ceiling. In the bathrooms, test the fans. Do they look and feel strong enough to bring moisture out of that bathroom? And on top of that, are they big enough for that restroom? And you'll also want to look behind toilets, in the corners of bathroom walls to see if there's any indication of mold. Black mold can be extremely toxic, especially if you have kids. You'll want to look at the water heater. Now, typically I'll look around the top of the water heater where the pipes are supposed to enter and see is there any corrosion? Does it look like there's been any rust or leaking? Because leaking on a water heater could really mean anything, including that you may need to replace the entire water heater. The furnace, sometimes I'll even pull out the furnace filter and look and see if it has recently been changed, or does it look like it's been collecting dust for months and months on it, because that will speak a lot to how well a homeowner has maintained a home. On the water heater and the furnace, I'll also look at maintenance tags. How well has this person been maintaining this appliance? If they're getting a service done every single year, if they're getting a tune-up done, there should be tags for every single service. So that will also tell you how well these appliances have been maintained. You'll also want to look under sinks for corrosion, for leaking. You'll want to open your windows. How well do they open? Do they open at all? And you'll also want to look at the electrical panels. Now, when you look at an electric panel, it'll usually tell you somewhere on there what brand that panel actually is. Then you want to go through and look at all the breakers and make sure that it matches the same brand. So if it's a square D panel, you'll want to make sure that all of the breakers are also square D breakers. Now, if there are breakers outside of that brand, what that could indicate is that there's been some DIY electrical done. Just because it fits in there doesn't mean it's supposed to go in there. My finger can fit in there, doesn't mean it's supposed to go in there. So those are the things that we can look at when house shopping without really overstepping into the inspector role. A lot of these are going to be maintenance or preventative measures or things that you can fix later on down the road, but not all of these are going to automatically disqualify a home. Because I guarantee you, most homes, especially if they're not newly built, are going to have at least a few of these issues, and that's completely normal. Now, one other thing that's important to address is that if you have FHA, VA, or USDA financing, you are also going to want to look at a certain list of things when you're out house shopping to make sure that that house passes those appraisals. FHA, VA, and USDA loans are a little bit more strict when it comes to the condition of a property that they're lending you money for. So some of the things they will look at is peeling paint, whether that's on the interior or on the exterior. So when you're walking around the home, most of the time on the exterior, you'll find peeling paint around window trims, around garage door trims. If you've got wood siding, you could have some peeling paint there. So keeping an eye out for that. If you have a staircase that has more than 2 steps, you will need a hand railing. If you have any broken windows, that will need to be repaired prior to closing. If you have any exposed electrical, that will be an FHA red flag. If you don't have GFCI outlets, and GFCI are those test reset outlets. So those are some of the things that you will want to keep an extra eye out for if you have that type of financing. So that's it for today, guys. I hope that at your next showing or the next open house you attend, you now have a better idea of what you need to be looking for. And I hope that your realtor is also looking for these things. Again, keeping in mind that these are just things for you to keep in mind so you know how much work you're getting yourself into. Doesn't mean that that house is a no-go, okay? If you haven't already, make sure you click like and subscribe so you can see all the new videos I post and all the new tips, tricks, and information I give home buyers, home sellers, and homeowners.